Afternoon, Loyalty Circle members, as we continue our LC Live series, which I know has been very popular with you again, and this is an expression of our gratitude for all that you do for our student athletes. Foremost, thank you for all you do. You're making a difference. This afternoon, we're blessed and honored to have your head coach of the Runnin Rebels, Coach TJ Otzelberger, with us. Coach has done amazing things in his short time here. Again, taking our program back to the top of the Mountain West Conference, and we're all excited about what's to come next year. So without further ado, welcome Coach Otzelberger. Thank you for being with us today.
Good afternoon, Loyalty Circle members. It's an honor to be here with you today. John had asked me to share with you my background on getting into coaching, and it started when I was 14 years old. The love and passion that I had for the game of basketball took me to a place where I spent countless hours at YMCAs and playground courts, and that passion then turned into the love for mentoring and developing young men to help reach their dream and learn the life lessons from basketball just like I learned. My high school coach, upon me finishing my college career, he encouraged me to come back and help him as the junior varsity coach and varsity assistant coach with his program. I fell in love with the game. I can remember the first drill, being on the court teaching, and you've got sweat running down your cheek and you're in a defensive stance, and I knew at that point that I was hooked and this was my calling and where I'd be for the rest of my career. As I moved forward and had opportunities beyond high school coaching, I've been very lucky to work for some tremendous head coaches at the college level. Greg McDermott was the one that gave me my start at Iowa State University as assistant. He's now the head coach at Creighton. Their team had a phenomenal season, top 10 finish. I've also worked for Fred Hoiberg, who's been the head coach of the Chicago Bulls and now with Nebraska. Worked for Lorenzo Romar at the University of Washington and Steve Prohm. Really honored that the four head coaches I've worked for have all had tremendous amounts of success at the college and professional level. All four have been in NCAA tournaments. You try when you're around great leaders to take something from each one of those coaches. I've been really lucky and fortunate to have those leaders and be able to help mold my basketball philosophy from all of their strengths. With the COVID impacting our program, there's been some challenges, but we're doing everything that we can to make the most of this opportunity. In the spring for our sport, a lot of times we're able to be on the court doing workouts, postseason developing skills, and right now we don't have that opportunity. Where we're trying to make up for it is in the relationship building, spending time with our guys on Zoom phone calls, making sure that we check on them and their families, making sure that they're doing okay, letting them know that we're here for them as a support, and then also trying to connect those guys on a deeper level, whether it's calls that we do each week with our returning players or with our incoming players. And we're also fortunate some of the leaders in our program connect those guys on their own. And we feel like those personal relationships and that investment in each other is really going to pay off for our team this upcoming season. This is also a time where we'd be out on the recruiting trail, and now we're not able to do that. So we're finding unique ways to connect with the recruits that we're trying to bring into the program in the future, also trying to study film more than in person like we normally would this time of the year when it comes to recruiting. And then we're going through our program and evaluating things that we did last year that we believe were successful, things we might need to adapt to with our new talent this season. But we're really excited about what's in front of us, thrilled about how our guys have acted as leaders and connecting to each other in this time. And we're going to do everything that we can in this challenging moment to make our team and our program the best that it can be. Looking ahead to next year, there's a lot of excitement about our program. I'd like to share with you some inside information about our team. We returned 3 players that were highly impactful on the court for us this past season, Mbake Jong, Marvin Coleman, and then Bryce Hamilton. Those 3 were all key contributors to a team that finished second place in the Mountain West this year, and really at the end of the season was playing as well as anybody in the conference. So we'll start with those guys. And moving past that, David Jenkins and Moses Wood were 2 players that were able to practice with us each day, not able to play in the games. Those 2 guys are going to be very impactful for us this upcoming season. We see David as a very key contributor, can be an elite scorer in this conference and one of the premier players in the Mountain West. Moses is a guy that gives us a great shooter on the perimeter and a guy that's versatile to play many positions. Moving forward with the newcomers, Caleb Grill is a transfer that'll come to us from Iowa State University. He had a season there with the Cyclones this year. He figures to be a very impactful player if transfers are eligible to play right away this upcoming season, which we're still waiting on a ruling. We also signed 2 junior college players. Eduardo Del Cadia is coming to us from Junior College of Central Florida. He's going to be a physical frontline player, 6'7", 235, 240, a physical presence for us in the post and on the perimeter. He can step out and make plays. Then Nick Fleming coming to us from junior college in Illinois. Nick will be able to come in and be a guy that really sets the table offensively. Fast point guard in transition, really thinks about his teammates, a great distributor and on-ball defender. And then we have 6 freshmen coming into the group. And with freshmen, there's so many things that are thrown at those guys when they come in terms of how they manage their time and their schedule. So predicting how each one of those guys will adapt to a college schedule and the demands that we have on their time is always interesting. But we're thrilled. We feel like all 6 have great character, work ethic, and fit our program's core values and ideals. Devin Tillis comes to us from Los Angeles, from Windward Academy, a skilled forward, inside-outside player. Isaac Lindsay from Wisconsin is a tremendous shooter, a great playmaker off the dribble, can make himself better as well as get shots for his teammates. Then Reese Brown from New York, athletic, 6'8" forward, can dribble, pass, make plays, very athletic, a guy that hopefully, if we're able to in the fall, will be a slam dunk contest guy that people love seeing, high flyer out there in front of everybody. And then 3 local Las Vegas young men, Nick Blake, Donovan Yap, and Jaylon Martinez. Nick is probably the most highly touted in the recruiting class, 6'6", bigger guard. He can lead the break. He's a tremendous scorer, shooter, also phenomenal rebounder. Donovan Yap's a dynamic playmaker at 6'3", a guy that can play the lead guard position or off the ball, really crafty with the ball and making players better. And Jaylon Martinez gives us a guy that can anchor our front line, 6'10", physical low post presence, a guy that can also step out and hit the three-point shot. Our level of excitement with the newcomers couldn't be higher. We know that the guys that are returning will set the tone, but we also believe that those newcomers bring a lot of strengths, positive attributes to the team for this upcoming season.
Coach, one of the great things about Loyalty Circle Live is it gives our Loyalty Circle members an opportunity to ask people like yourself questions about the program, something that they're very excited about. So our first question comes from UNLV Football Foundation President Joe Haro, and it's a long one, so bear with me. Coach, have you ever considered implementing a tenacious full-court press similar to what Nolan Richardson did with the Arkansas National Championship team, quote-unquote, their 40 minutes of hell? I feel like intense pressure with the right athletes gives a running team like Coach is building such an amazing opportunity to rattle opponents and create chaos. I don't see this as often as I did in the early 90s, and it would be great to see it come back.
Well, certainly pressuring the basketball and dictating tempo is at the top of our priority list for our team. What I'll say is how games are officiated at this point in time going into 2020 as opposed to how they were at that point in time, there's a lot more fouls called with hand checking and in the backcourt and contact that I think those teams, those pressure teams, whether it was here with the Runnin Rebels or that Arkansas team under Nolan Richardson, there's a lot of times in the backcourt where the officials let contact go and now those become fouls. And I think we want to be a team that's high pressure. We want to be a team that plays up tempo and we're fast in transition, but not fouling is also a key component to having your defense be strong. So we're continuing to add pressure, extend our defense. Right now, I feel like it's going to be a blend of when we pressure and when we apply that pressure in a half-court setting to put our team in the best chance to be successful defensively.
Coach, our second question comes from our good friend Dennis Stein. Coach, the Mountain West Conference seems to be gaining in strength. From your perspective, who are the teams on the rise and who will be our main competition next year for the championship?
When you look at the Mountain West Conference, you first have to look at what happened this past year. I think there's cultures that are built, winning is something that when it's ingrained in a program, teams expect to win. And right now, San Diego State has been at the top of that. They had a tremendous season. They've lost some key contributors to their team with Malachi Flynn and Yanni Wetzel and KJ Fegan. At the same time, they believe they can win, and their team's been about a lot of success in recent memory. So have to start with them. And also Utah State, even though they lose Merrill, the guard that's really led their team, they return their big man Keita, and again, a team that's been the last 2 years earmarked for the NCAA tournament. So when you look at the Mountain West, you have to start with those two teams. Beyond that, Reno returns Jalen Harris, who was the leading scorer in the conference. He's the most dynamic offensive player in the Mountain West this past year. So they'll have a team that they can build around him with some transfers and some players they had sitting out. Boise State's had a complete roster turnover with some transfers they brought in, but they brought 2 from Arizona and some others, so feel like they're going to be competitive. And then with Colorado State, they had a great year and they returned 4 starters. So I think with all those programs, the league's going to continue to elevate. I also think some of the teams that we didn't mention are going to be better than they were last year, and it's going to make for a very competitive Mountain West Conference schedule.
Coach, our next question comes from your good friends and our great friends, Penn and Sandy Ellison. And it's a 2-part question, so let's start with part A. Coach, last year it took some time to get the squad to buy into your system. Once they did, it was an amazing difference. With a substantial roster turnover, how fast do you think this new group will buy in? And how much do you expect David Jenkins to play a part of that on and off the court?
Building relationships and trust with our players is the most important thing in our program. We want to have that trust. We want them to know that this relationship is not only through this time in these college years, but it's lifelong. When you come in as a new head coach in year 1, you're trying to build that relationship while you're actually going, to battle every day. And that can be challenging because you're trying to push young men to be the best that they can be, and yet they're still evaluating that trust that they have in you and the belief they have in your system. What we saw is midway through the season when our team really embraced that and they understood the standard of UNLV basketball, what was going to be demanded of them on a daily basis, and knowing they can count on us as a coaching staff to tell them the truth, I think our team really hit stride. And so that buy-in went to a whole nother level when they knew what they were playing for, who they were playing for, how much we believed in them. With David Jenkins, he's a dynamic scorer. He and I have 3 years now together in college programs, whether it was the 2 years at South Dakota State or the 1 year on the practice floor last year. What I can tell you about David is he's a fierce competitor, a dynamic scorer, a tremendous worker, and he's going to play with unbelievable passion and an unrelenting spirit for Runnin Rebel basketball. Can't wait to get him on the court. I know he's going to become a fan favorite, and he's going to do some tremendous things here in Las Vegas.
Okay, Coach, part B from Penn and Sandy. Coach, fans that got to watch the games last year know what we were getting with the returning players. With the influx of new Rebels, however, can you give us some insight on what we can expect from the new faces? Who do you consider instant impact versus developmental?
We have 3 players coming in that have college experience. First, Caleb Grill had experience in the Big 12 at Iowa State. He's going to be a guy, if eligible, that he really impacts our program. Competitive defender, tremendous athlete, can knock down shots, great playmaker. He's a versatile guard that can do a lot of things. Eduardo Del Cadia from Central Florida Junior College, a frontline player, 6'7", physical, inside-outside guy, tremendous rebounder and playmaker. He'll be a guy that helps us right away as well. And then Nick Fleming, coming to us as well from Illinois, a guy who can really set the table, run a team, distribute the basketball. Those 3 guys already have college experience, so there's a little more of a track record there to be able to predict what they'll do coming in. We expect great things from all 3 of those guys. With our 6 freshmen, Nick Blake is the guy that's probably been the most highly acclaimed on the recruiting circuit. He's a guy that we see can play a multitude of positions, fantastic rebounder, can really lead the break, tremendous three-point shooter. He really fits our DNA of what we look for in a player, and we feel like as a freshman he'll be highly impactful. Also, Devin Tillis is a guy that coming to us from Windward Academy, a winner, 6'6", plays multiple positions, just a very high IQ player. I think those guys from the freshmen figure to have an instant impact. The others, you know, they could have that impact. It may be more down the road. We know they're going to be great members of our program. It's just a matter of how quickly it comes for them.
Coach, from longtime supporter, great fan of our tennis program, Michael Bronstein. Coach, how do you use the game of basketball to teach your players about life?
Well, teaching them about life is the mission, or what's really important to me at my heart is helping prepare these guys for life, to be contributors in the community, to be husbands, fathers, leaders, community members. That's every bit as important to me as winning college basketball games. We do that by having a high standard in everything that we do, from going to class, from dietary habits, how we practice, how we conduct ourselves, the way we treat people and embrace the community, the way we get out and spread the word of all the great things happen in Runnin' Rebel basketball. To me, it's taken that tremendous sense of pride in everything that we do each and every day that develops character. And that's really important to me at my core. Want to win every game. I'm a very competitive person, but developing these young men for the rest of their life is far more important than any single game right now. And we strive to do that in everything that we do in our program, and I'm confident that we're developing future leaders here in Runnin' Rebel basketball.
Coach, one bonus question for you. Coming from South Dakota, Las Vegas is quite a change for you and your family. How have you and your family adjusted to life here? And has Las Vegas been everything that you expected?
Well, the best adjustment has been going from building snowmen outside our house to swimming in our pool in our backyard. So we've enjoyed that. But what we've really come to appreciate in Las Vegas is the tremendous sense of community, the family values, and the connectedness. There's a great story here in Las Vegas, and UNLV basketball plays a very impactful role. We take that with a tremendous sense of pride, and just really fortunate how everyone welcomed our family into this community, and we're going to do everything that we can to be positive members with our family in that community as well. So it's definitely been a change from South Dakota to Las Vegas, but we've loved the people, we've enjoyed the weather, and it's been an awesome experience up to this point.
Coach, awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Otzelberger. Thank you, Loyalty Circle members, and can't wait to see y'all at the MAC this winter. Go Rebels.